Hey guys, it's Jake, and today we're checking out the new Archetype Petrucci by Neural DSP. So Neural has really been pushing it with their latest couple of Archetype series plugins. The last one, the Tim Henson, saw the addition of a vocoder, and this one saw the addition of a ton of new features that I'll go into in just a minute. So for anyone who doesn't know who John Petrucci is, you're lying to me. You know who John Petrucci is, otherwise why'd you click on this video? Everyone knows who John Petrucci is. My dad knows who John Petrucci is, and he doesn't know what a guitar is. So anyway, John Petrucci, Dream Theater, Liquid Tension Experiment, the solo project, a bunch of other stuff. Pretty much the epitome of what a guitar hero is. He's put out a ton of music. He's a virtuoso. He dropped out of Berkeley, so you know he's a good musician. He's played with a bunch of other super talented musicians, guitarists, and non-guitarists alike, and yeah, just an overall incredible musician and guitar player, and pretty iconic. I didn't really see this one coming, just because, I don't know, I just didn't see this one coming. But I'm super glad it did, because this introduced a ton of new features that I think are really good to have in this plugin, and kind of makes it worth buying, even if you already do own a couple of Neural DSP plugins like I do. So as far as basic features go, we have two effects sections, one that has a wah pedal and a compressor. The wah pedal can be automated or used with an expression pedal. Then we have the next round of effects, which includes an overdrive, phaser, flanger, and a chorus pedal. These all come before the amp. And these are pretty standard effects, nothing too out there, but they are very good to have. It's good to have more options than just your typical overdrive and compressor. I like the amount of effects this has because it really just gives you a bunch of options when it comes to sculpting your sound. Then we have the amps, and there are 4 amps in this one, making it tied with Nolly for the most amps included in a single plugin. Alright, so first up we have the PIEZO amp. The PIEZO amp is basically just a preamp made to mimic what a guitar with a piezo system would sound like. I can't say how accurately it captures that since I don't have a guitar with a piezo system, but it does sound good. I found a lot of very usable tones in it, and I used it in the demo quite a bit, and I think it's just a cool sounding texture that's a bit different than your normal clean. Second amp is the clean to crunch amp, depending on where you set the gain. It can go basically anywhere from chimey clean to pretty broken up sounding crunch tone, and it's a pretty good sounding amp. It has a bright switch on it too if you want some more of that brightness to it. You know, that's what a bright switch does. And yeah, it's a nice little clean to crunch amp. Then next comes the amp that I've used the most. It's the rhythm amp for obvious reasons. I'm a metal guitar player. I play a lot of rhythms and a lot of riffs, and so I spent most of my time on this amp. And yeah, it's a pretty solid sounding amp. I believe it's modeled on his signature amp because why wouldn't it be? Which is also cool because Neural doesn't really have anything in the sort of Mesa Boogie realm. There's a lot of 5150 stuff, but not a lot of Mesa stuff. It has a tight knob on it, which kind of controls the low end resonance, a bite switch on it, which kind of gives it a bit more pick attack, and also a mid boost so you can get some more mids. Then next is the lead amp. This one has a ton of gain on tap. I only played with it about halfway up, and it was more than enough for me. So yeah, tons of gain on tap. It has a source switch, which kind of gives it a bit more air and a little bit more gain on top of that. And yeah, it's just super cool for making leads pop. The next is the cabinet section. It has 3 different cabinets, one for each different amp, minus the PIEZO amp because that one doesn't have any cabinets. A couple different mics to choose from. There are a couple of odd mic choices here, or not really odd mic choices, but there are a couple staples that are missing that I would have liked to see. For example, there's 57, which is a little bit of a weird omission, but whatever. It's his signature amp. He can use whatever he wants for it. Another cool addition with this plugin is that it has room mics for the cabinets, which is really cool on like cleans and leads and even some rhythms if you just want to add a bit of ambience to your tone without necessarily reaching for a reverb. It can get a little bit phasey if you use too much of it, but it's a cool addition to have. Then next is the post EQ section, which is always a good addition to have, lets you sculpt your tone a little bit further. And then lastly, we have the post effects, which includes another chorus, so you can either have your chorus before the amp or after the amp. Then next is delay, which has a couple of different options on it. It has a crystallize option on it, which kind of sounds like a reverse delay, but not really. It's a cool effect. It lets you build some really nice soundscapey tones. Tape delay, and then a modular delay, and it lets you kind of blend all those together to kind of form your own unique delay sound for any given part or whatever your need is. So then lastly we have the reverb, which is a pretty standard reverb. It has a shimmer function on it, which is always nice if you like those shimmery reverbs. I know a lot of people don't, but I like having them for some parts, and yeah, it's a solid sounding reverb. Now onto the new features of the plugin that I'm super stoked about. We have a doubler built in, which basically makes it sound like your guitar is double tracked without you having to double track it. I didn't really like it that much for rhythms just because it didn't quite sound like a double tracked rhythm part, but on cleans and leads I really liked it just because it made them sound bigger and like they were coming at you from all directions without you actually having to double track stuff. So it sounded bigger and cleaner because double tracking leads and cleans can be tricky. And then the feature I'm most stoked about is the transpose feature, which is essentially a pitch shifter which lets you pitch shift your guitar a whole octave down and a whole octave up in half-step intervals. And I really like it. I'm especially impressed with how well it tracks multiple notes at a time. I was able to set it down, I believe, like 5 half steps, and it still tracked power chords super well. Once you start getting lower, then it gets a little bit iffy, but it still sounds super good and has good tracking, and it's a lot better than some of the other plugins that I've tried to use for pitch shifting, and even my Digitech Whammy. It tracks super well, and I'm super happy with that. It also lets you go up, so, you know, I'm tuned to drop B. If I wanted to play something in drop C, I can turn it up a half step, and it tracks super well and sounds great. And yeah, it's a super cool feature that I wish was included in basically every single plugin, because I use pitch shifting a lot just to kind of make parts heavier or just to make stupid sounds, and it's always a good option to have, and I'm glad that they included it in this one, and I want them to put it in every single plugin. Update every single plugin now, put the transpose feature in there, it's great. Also, I forgot to mention there's a volume pedal in there, so you can assign that with an expression pedal or automate it or whatever you want. So overall, I think this is the most feature-rich plugin that Neural DSP has made probably ever. It includes a bunch of new features that were not included in any of the past plugins, which gives people who already own a couple reason to check it out, which is always super cool, because once you start making a lot of plugins that all sort of cover similar styles, it's real easy to get redundant products, but I feel like Neural's done a good job at avoiding that by adding in a bunch of new features and modeling some amps that they haven't before, because I am almost positive that this is modeled on John Petrucci's signature amp, because, again, why wouldn't it be? And it's cool to see, you know, them finally adding some Mesa stuff into their range, just because Mesa sound awesome, and there was a Mesa-shaped hole in my Neural DSP collection that I believe has been filled now. It sounds super good. So yeah, I think that about covers it. It sounds good, ton of features. I think this is a really good plugin if you don't own any Neural DSP plugins, because it kind of just gives you a taste of everything without you needing to buy multiple plugins. And it can basically get you any tone that you would need in the realm of rock music, all the way through like extreme metal. I tried it with an H string a bit too, so it handles those low tunings super well as well, which I'm happy to report. Some plugins don't handle low tunings quite as well. This one does. And it does the clean stuff too, it does the crunch, it does everything, and I think it's a good starting point if you don't have that many plugins, or you don't have any plugins for that matter. So yeah, if you're interested in checking out the plugin, I'll leave a link down in the description below. There's a free 2-week trial on it, so you can try it out, decide if you like it before you buy it, and yeah, that's it from me, guys. So if you like the music you heard in this video, give my band a follow. We're called The Perceiver, down in the description below. If you like what you saw here, you can subscribe for more content. I'm going to be trying to upload more in the future. And yeah, that's it for me, guys. So until next time, have a good one.